Hello, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Adam Golov, Marketing Communications Manager at Data Conversion Laboratory, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we get started, I want to let you know we will allow time at the end of the webinar for questions and answers. So please write your questions in the chat area as they come to mind. If we don't have time to answer them all, we will make them available on our website. Today we are thrilled to introduce Becky Fadik, Director of Content Management at SAE International. Becky has been with SAE International since the mid-90s and has held staff positions at SAE in several key business units, including membership, exhibits, meetings, section relations, and technical standards. She currently serves as the Director of Content Management. This group, established in January 2010, supports one of SAE's key strategic initiatives for sustainability and growth. The unit serves as a hub between the product and support functions required to acquire, publish, and maintain content by providing technical editing, content classification, content publishing, information management, and content archival for existing and new content. Brian Trombley, National Account Director, DCL, has over 30 years' experience in helping clients implement content-oriented processes and technologies for all aspects of publishing across a wide range of industry verticals. An early practitioner of structured content methodologies, Mr. Trombley was at the forefront of the SGML and XML revolutions and has helped clients successfully manage, change, and convert and leverage content for maximum business value. Without further ado, welcome Becky and Brian.
Well, thanks, Adam. I really appreciate the introduction, and I'm really excited about this presentation today. Becky and I have shared the stage recently a couple of times, and I'm always happy to work alongside Becky and share information. This webinar came about when Becky and I were discussing some of the interactions I've had over the past 6 months with a number of SDOs. We work with a lot of large ones and mid-sized ones, and now we're getting inquiries from smaller SDOs who are really just starting their digital strategy and asking questions. But it's hard sometimes to answer those questions when they haven't fully developed a digital strategy. I thought it would be very helpful for all of our organizations that we work with or speak with on a regular basis to hear Becky's story, because I think it really will be helpful for those organizations that are going down the path of a digital strategy and maybe well down that path, as well as those that are not that far down or just beginning. So, Becky was gracious enough to pull this presentation together and share with us, and I'm very grateful to her for that. So quickly, we have the agenda on the board. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just talking about DCL. I know I've looked at who's registered for the webinar, and some of you are existing customers and folks that we know very well, but I wanted to spend about 2 minutes on DCL. And then I'm going to turn it over to Becky and let her take us through her journey, which has been pretty dramatic, I think. Next slide, please. So again, just a little bit about Data Conversion Laboratory. For those of you who are not familiar, we convert and organize content to create electronic documents, populate databases, publish on the web and mobile, and basically get your content ready for tomorrow's technology. Next slide. Thank you. DCL services help you refine your document conversion strategy, identify document redundancy or content redundancy. We help you extract metadata or add metadata into your content, transform legacy and future documents for real needs today and in the future. Next slide, please. And as you see, we cover a very broad client base. A number of logos that I think are very recognizable here, and we work with these companies for a number of different reasons around their content. Next slide, please. And as you can see, those industry verticals are quite wide and broad. You know, everyone we work with traditionally or typically is a publisher. Some publish for profit, some are accidental publishers. So if you look at manufacturers and organizations that create products and have documentation, we do a lot of work with them, but we also work with many professional societies and associations, SPM publishers, reference publishers, research organizations to bring their content forward in a real world situation these days with the abundance of mobile devices and other ways to access content. So without further ado, I want to hand it over to Becky. And welcome, Becky, and thanks so much again for participating.
Okay, thank you, Brian. I'm really delighted to talk today about SAE's digital strategy and how this is transforming our organization's approach to how we manage, capture, and deliver content. Our journey started in 2008, and I'll be very candid. It was not easy. We faced many challenges along the way, but I think looking back today and the success that we are experiencing far outweighs the challenges. As background, SAE International is a global association committed to being the ultimate knowledge source for the engineering profession. Our focus is providing knowledge solutions to industry. To do so, we act on two priorities, which are lifetime learning and industry standards. We advocate lifetime learning by offering industry conferences and professional development activities, and through our publishing program, we offer technical and historical books, magazines, technology newsletters, along with technical papers and journal articles discussing the latest developments directly related to the industries we serve, automotive, aerospace, and commercial vehicle. And then our other priority is industry standards. SAE is a vehicle-producing industry's single source for industry-driven, voluntary, consensus-based standards development. Our standards repository totals nearly 36,000 documents. And how did we get started? Around 2005, 2006, SAE began addressing its long-term sustainability, and it was really vital at that time because the industry we serve were facing overwhelming challenges to remain viable as well. So the challenges that our customers were facing, together with our maturing product portfolio, our outdated publishing model, the accelerated pace of technology, growing competition in our market space with organizations that represent for-profit and startups, really served as our call to action. And SAE's leadership responded to this call to action, driving our organization to, number one, extend our mastery of capturing intellectual property. Second, to organize content to more effectively deploy knowledge solutions. And then third, to deliver relevant, responsive SAE information products and services. SAE embraced this time of change to capitalize on new opportunities to reposition itself for growth by strategically adopting a new approach to capture, manage, and deliver information. At the core of our strategy is product development, creating innovative knowledge solutions that are driven by customer need. We do this through content enrichment, through content discovery, and through delivery of the content, each having a huge impact on the success of our strategy. In talking with our customers, and probably many of your customers are the same way, they really want to integrate relevant mission-critical content into their workflows. They want high-value embedded content and data to improve and enhance productivity. They require information now in a format that is interoperable between systems to introduce new levels of efficiency. Electronically accessible information, once considered a luxury, is now a must. And users expect to interact with content, not just consume the information. They expect to be able to search within a document, to follow hyperlinks to other relevant text, and to access relevant components such as data sets, and not necessarily a complete document. This is especially important to SAE with respect to our standards. Our digital strategy focuses on supplying information, tools, and technical know-how to help mobility professionals do their jobs better today and prepare them for the future. Digitizing our content using XML opens many new opportunities to respond to our changing customer information needs, develop new products, and enhance our current products. Converting technical information to XML, which is an industry standard, is helping SAE provide the solutions our customers need. And let me share a little bit about why I believe XML is a fundamental cornerstone of our strategy. SAE digitizes all technical publishable content using XML, which is basically a set of rules for encoding documents that is in a format that is both human readable and machine readable. It's structured content. It describes and delivers data. And with XML tagging, content can be extracted as data components, such as data sets on how it is tagged. Computer systems and databases contain data in incompatible formats. Converting the data to XML can greatly reduce its complexity and create data that can be read by different types of systems, enabling interoperability. With the use of style sheets, XML easily renders into different outputs, EPUB, MOBI, HTML, PDF, and who knows what's next. XML is platform and software independent regardless of the programming language used to process it. XML is an open standard under the worldwide consortia, and it has gained great acceptance and I believe will remain relevant well into the future. XML provides us with the capability to implement our digital strategy. And implementation and our ongoing maintenance focuses on three primary areas: infrastructure, operations, processes, and procedures. As we look at infrastructure, we consider two key areas. We look at technology and we look at the organization. Your technology decisions, as well as all others, are based on your business objectives. Our key technology objective was to develop a comprehensive set of content management tools to automate the content workflow from acquiring content to XML tagging to taxonomy application to publication. As we considered our options, it was decided to build our content management system in-house. The advantage to building our system was the ability to customize to our exact needs. The downside is that it is difficult to maintain and continuously update. No significant upgrades have been made to our system since late 2012. Our system is now 6 years old and lacks many capabilities of commercial systems such as workflow management in addition to the publishing platform. We are considering replacing our current content management system in 2017. Another decision you may need to think about is your content repository. Where and how will you store the XML? Publishing tools. What formats will you deliver and how? What do you need to think about for future deliverables? You may want to think about your overall business objectives to determine what additional technology you may need to deploy. For instance, a second strategic objective for our digital strategy is to exploit a modern content categorization capability in the form of an industry-relevant taxonomy. This allows us to consistently classify our content based on industry-relevant vocabulary, which assists us internally in packaging like content across all product lines and assists customers with discovery of our content. With the volume of content we produce annually, this required an automated process. We deployed an automated indexing system to help us classify content across our entire portfolio of products. In 2010, as part of the digital strategy, a new group was formed to transform SAE's publishing activities from print to a hybrid model of print and digital, and to serve as the bridge between product development and product deployment. This group, Content Management, assumed responsibility for publishing and associated responsibilities for technical papers, journal articles, ebooks, standards, and magazine feature articles. We were not responsible for production of print books, magazine layout, and professional development course materials. This group reported into the Information Technology Group with minimal reporting responsibilities to the Product and Services Group. This proved to be very effective with the amount of systems and process work required to effectively implement the initial stages of our strategy. We later found that direct reporting into the Products and Services group would create greater synergy and potentially help bring the development and deployment groups closer together. In 2015, SAE went through a restructuring and the content management team became part of the Global Product Management Group, which includes our user experience group, product and professional development activities, as well as our sales group. Under the new structure, all production and publishing activities are aligned under the content management team and no longer decentralized. Centralization of all publishing helps maintain consistency and quality throughout the production process. As the CM Director, I sit on the Global Product Management Group Senior Leadership Team, which leads to early discussions about new products. Knowing what is in the pipeline is providing us with opportunities to provide suggestions to enrich the content and to maximize resources. As we looked at our operations, we considered 3 areas here. One is staffing, workflow, and then tools. When we started our group in 2010, we required basic production skills, and our classification function was handled by a consultant. The key competencies we required included attention to detail, a self-starter, a strong work ethic, eager learner, and adaptable. We did not require knowledge of XML. As we stabilized processes, our skill sets expanded into vendor relations, project management, XML tagging and editing, proofreading of technical documentation, style sheet maintenance. We also expanded our scope with respect to our classification system and broadened it to cover discovery and information architecture. This is reflected in our 2016 structure. In 2010, we were in the stages of forming. Our processes were undocumented, all XML conversion was outsourced, production was done in-house. We accomplished the basics to get the product out the door. This was a very disruptive time for our publishing business. We had a new team, a new organization, new tools. But we created our plan for implementing our strategy, and we dug in. Today, our processes are clearly defined, and we are actually considering outsourcing some of the more routine publishing activities, allowing the team to focus on high value-added work, such as project management, and looking for those best practices within the publishing industry, and then even going further and exploring new technology that will allow us to do even more innovative things with our products. In terms of publishing tools, as I mentioned earlier, with templates and style sheets, XML easily renders into different outputs, EPUB, the MOBI, the HTML, the PDF. And this is where we have seen the most gain in our publishing. In 2013, changes were made to our publishing software, and working with DCL, we introduced a new style sheet. Significant efficiency and quality gains resulted from the software change and implementation of this tool. As we defined our DTD, or our document type definition, to support the XML, we explored 2 models. We looked at JATS, which is the Journal Article Tagging Suite, and DITA. We chose JATS, formerly known as the NLM DDT. And JATS is a widely used specification which defines a set of elements and attributes for tagging journal articles and describes several article models. We chose JATS because it is the most appropriate for technical and scientific content. In fact, ISO has completed, and NISO is working on a collaborative initiative to develop a common schema based on JATS. This initiative is supported by SDOs, it is supported by industry, and it is supported by conversion vendors and other involved in the publishing industry. Efforts in this area will result in greater interoperability of standards, which in turn will aid end users and improve the future of standards publishing. For in-house control production, we established standard operating procedures for each product line. This includes the what, when, how, and why. These procedures are regularly reviewed and updated to ensure we are delivering the highest quality output. In addition, we develop product specifications for our vendors. These specifications define how the XML is to be structured, calling out very specific tagging requirements. DCL has helped us tremendously in refining our specifications with the end goal of user-friendly materials. Our change initiative, as I mentioned, started in 2008. Each year, we have added a new product line for XML conversion. This involved developing the conversion specifications, selecting and developing relationships with vendors, and creating a production plan. We initiated content conversions with our technical papers and journal articles, then books, followed by our magazine feature articles, and finally standards. Standards were selected later in the process as we wanted to make sure that our tagging sets, our procedures, our processes were efficient and accurate. We had learned a great deal from our previous conversion experiences and were ready to move to standards. In 2013, our new style sheet was developed with the assistance of DCL, and we upgraded our publishing software. This improved our technical paper production capability tremendously, resulting in significant cost savings. In 2014, our standards conversion project kicked off. To date, we have converted all current standards and are now working on past versions of standards and have successfully implemented the conversion process into our daily workflow. In 2015, as you saw earlier, we reorganized, promoting a more customer-focused organization. This year, we are exploring our options for replacing our current content management system and are currently looking to outsource the complete production process for the technical paper product line. By doing so, we are considering adding functionality to the papers by offering tables of data, using MathML for equations, and providing an editorial review, none of which we could do before because we were so ingrained in just getting the product out the door. To date, we have converted over 107,000 technical papers and journal articles, 210 books, nearly 3,000 feature articles, and almost 20,000 technical standards. Converting files to XML helps to take advantage of our rich, robust repository of content. We are finding ways to enrich our content, create new products, provide content in new delivery formats, and help our customers find our content quicker. Let me share with you some of the work we have done and we are doing now. In this first example, many of you are probably already adding value to your content simply by adding internal links. Internal linking facilitates navigation within the document. If you are sorting through a 300-page document and some of our standards are about this size, the internal linking functionality improves usage of the document for the user. Adding links within a document to external sources provides the user with additional information about the topic with very little effort. In one of SAE's ebooks, which is this one that's on the screen now, linking was added to the reference section. Because of the additional linking features, our customers received access to 58 additional PDFs of related content. Not just content, but content specific to the subject. We have created multiple derivative works repurposing XML content. This example is particularly interesting as it included magazine articles, SAE technical papers, and newly authored content. Using our industry sector codes and taxonomy, we could quickly aggregate this content, increasing speed to market for this new content type. As you can see, XML is providing us with the capability to add new features and functionalities for users. The next items I will showcase are ones that are part of our new SAE Mobilist platform, which launched just last month. Users now have the ability or the capability to create Redline Standards, which allow the user to quickly compare changes between versions of standards. They simply select the versions that they want to compare, and the system will automatically create a Redline version showing what has changed. In addition, full text search capability has been added, which enables higher search result relevancy. Users now have the capability to download data sets that were previously available as PDF only. Again, going back to the fact where the customer is looking for that critical information, this is one way that we now can provide it in an electronic format. Another example, whoops, let me get on the cursor here. Another example are 2D and 3D views of parts within standards. These files can be downloaded into multiple file formats such as AutoCAD or CATIA. Our ability to offer enhanced capabilities and deliver new knowledge solutions to our customers are a direct result of the work we have done to convert all of our content to XML. As with anything, there are always lessons to be learned, and I'd like to share some of those lessons with you. It's important to clearly understand the business reason for moving forward with digitizing content. Without a clear picture of what you're trying to accomplish, it makes it very difficult to initiate the change. We were successful because our initiative was driven by our board of directors and our top leadership. We had clearly defined expectations and goals of what needed to be accomplished, and we knew why we were doing it. So we were successful because we had full management support to do what needed to be done. We called on many others within the publishing industry who were already engaged with XML conversion, and we learned much from our conversation. We incorporated what we learned into our initial startup operations and continue to tweak our operations based on continuous feedback from subject matter experts. This continues to be a key factor of our success today. The next area is to really set realistic expectations throughout your plan. We knew that we wanted to do a product line per year, and we had laid out a very aggressive schedule initially for our technical papers. We were converting technical papers back to 1906, and at that point it was about 85,000 papers, and did it in about a year's time. Again, we weren't realistic in our scheduling of that. Probably could have done it over a year or two. So I think it's important that you continually think about what you can really accomplish. We got into this trap, I'll say several times, again, trying to just be overly aggressive with getting our content in XML. And in a couple cases, we delivered on everything we said we would do, but it took everything we had to do it. So if you're considering an XML conversion, my best advice is to conduct a pilot. We did not conduct a pilot and jumped right into converting, as I said, nearly 85,000 technical papers. Some of it we got right and some of it we didn't. And again, we learned from this experience, and we implemented a very rigorous workflow process which included internal and external specifications for conversion and publishing, as well as strict quality review processes. This is an important part of our overall strategy now, is we have very strict guidelines on what our products are to look like, and we monitor our products very closely and are constantly making modifications to specifications to constantly up that level of quality. And I think one of the most important lessons we learned relates to vendor selection. There are many conversion vendors who do excellent work. However, in our selection, we were looking for a vendor who brought new ideas, new thoughts, and were a partner with us in our conversion activities. We wanted them providing us with options for doing things differently. We wanted a vendor who was responsive, agile, and knowledgeable, and ultimately would challenge our thinking. Again, we kind of got locked into some ideas and didn't really expand our thinking, so it was important to have someone that would challenge some of what we were trying to do. Our recent experience with DCL, who manages the conversion of our technical papers and journal articles, as well as the conversion of our standards and the QA functions, more than meets the criteria we look for when selecting a vendor. Our digital strategy enables us to more quickly respond to changing customer information needs by offering new and innovative knowledge solutions. Another key aspect is discoverability of our content. We want our content discoverable on the open web and through discovery services such as Elsevier, Exlibris, ProQuest, Thomson Reuters, the place our customers look for information. These services often require the content in XML. And finally, SAE needs to stay in the game. Several of our larger sister societies are doing this as well, IEEE, ASTM, AIAA, and for the same reasons we are, to remain relevant to our customers by supplying information, tools, and technical know-how to help mobility professionals do their jobs better today and prepare them for the future. So we can open it up for questions.
Well, great. Thank you, Becky. This was definitely a very informative webinar. The first question that has come in is, you had mentioned applying taxonomy to your products. Why is this important?
The taxonomy, when we apply taxonomy to our products, what we are saying is basically this is what this content relates to. So it could be a technical paper that is on braking systems and braking materials. We want to classify that content that way because we may also have a magazine article that relates to that, and we may also have a professional development course that relates to that. So from an internal perspective, we can begin to package like content for our customers so that they aren't constantly searching for what we have. We're providing them with that package. The taxonomy also helps from a discovery standpoint. Within our website, our taxonomy is part of our search filter. So this again helps the customer be able to find content, and we are able to package it better for our customers.
Great. Thank you, Becky. The next question that has come in is, management here is very concerned with maintaining a fast, unrealistic timeline. How do I sell them on a pilot?
That's a great question. I think one of the things I think is important is you really have to understand the steps it takes for the XML conversion. So if your management team is saying we want to do XML, I think there's got to be more of a strategy around that. And our strategy was we wanted to be able to deliver X to the customer. And we had 4 or 5 product lines. So we started with, I'll probably say, the easiest product line for us to do. And that was basically the start of a pilot. Was much too large for what we needed to really do. But if you could say, let us just take one product line, and if it's by year, say, let's do a year of this product, send it out for conversion so you can see what it takes to go out, get it converted, bring it back in, put it in whatever format you're going to do, and then see the response by the market to what you're doing. Because I think part of it is market responsiveness as well. What is the market expecting from you? Brian, is there anything you'd like to add?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Becky. The next question has come in is your taxonomy applied automatically and consistently, or manually be subject matter experts? Additionally, how large is the taxonomy, and is it hierarchical? And if so, how many layers?
Our taxonomy is, we have 20 what we consider top level terms. Under each of those terms are parent and children. We go to 4 levels under our main topic. In terms of applying it, yes, we do an automated indexing system. It's somewhat of a hybrid. With our automated indexing system, what you have to do is you have to train the system based on your content. So again, using breaking as an example, we had to look through our content and find examples of documents that were related to breaking. We then trained the automated software to understand what breaking means. Once you have trained your software, then you can do an automated process on each of your terms. So we have literally trained our system on 720 terms. The other thing that we do is we go out probably every 2 years to our industry constituents asking about the relevancy of our taxonomy. Is it the current terminology? Are there things we need to change? Are there things we need to add? By having an automated system that is using an industry-relevant taxonomy, we then pass it through the automated indexing software. It comes into a second system, which we call our taxonomy management system, and we eyeball the content, meaning we take a look to see if the terms really do relate and the accuracy of that term to the content. So it's a semi-automated. We run it through the automated software, but then we like to do this last-minute check to make sure that the indexing is correct. That may mean, if it's not, we may need to do some additional training on the software. We may be needing to look for new document types. So it's just keeping an awareness of that taxonomy. So it's a human and machine process, but the majority of work rests on the automation versus the human interaction. And for our taxonomy, we have one taxonomist on staff, and then we have 4 consultants that we use when we go through some of our peak conference times.
Great, thank you, Becky. The next question has come in is, before you digitize, what specific formats, file types were you using?
We considered we were electronic using a PDF. So our basic formats we've used are Word and PDF. Prior to my time, we did use, I believe it was Quark was one we used, and FrameMaker was the other one we used. But we have slowly transitioned everything to Word and or PDF.
Thank you, Becky. The next question has come in is, do you have an in-house taxonomist to then maintain the taxonomy, adding in new terms and the rules by which they're applied?
Yes, we do. We do have an in-house taxonomist. It is a full-time position, and we felt this was an important part of our organization for the fact that originally, when it came to classifying our content prior to 2010, we had what we called I think it was called Tech Tracks. It was a listing of 10,000 terms, and anyone and everyone could assign a term to describe content. When you would go to look for similar content, you couldn't find it because, the nuances between breaks and breaking, not much, but there was a lot of differentiation. So we really had no consistency. So we felt it was important to have an in-house taxonomist, and that person is responsible for looking at external content to see what's happening out in our industries, to see if there's content that we should be looking at. Our content this person is looking at the content that we already have to determine, based on our taxonomy, where are our saturation areas and where are areas where we have white space. So this taxonomy position is then responsible for saying, oh, we're getting a lot of new content in on connected car. We need to start looking at that term as a potential future taxonomy term. So we began filtering our content, looking at our content to see if we have enough of that now to begin to train the automated software tools. So our taxonomist is responsible for maintaining and growing our taxonomy and ensuring that it is industry relevant.
Great, thank you, Becky. The next question has come in is, do any of your editors and authors create or update content in the XML format and via browser-based XML editors?
No, we haven't done that. We've been a little reluctant to do that because we're not certain how our authors and or our committee sponsors for our standards would react to that. We have considered piloting with our standards committees a way to author in XML and to be able to make those changes in XML, but we've not pursued it because we haven't seen the acceptance within our marketplace for the authors being able to do a web-based XML authoring type system. But it's definitely on our radar.
Yeah, Becky, this is Brian. Let me just comment a little bit further on that. If you look at committees, it's basically volunteer organization, and you don't want to put something on them that will make their day or make the effort they put forth for the SDO any more difficult than it has to be. A lot of them have different versions of Word. Word seems to be a common platform for sharing information. These individuals need to sort of work offline. So limiting them to a browser-based online metaphor, I think, is a little bit difficult. Maybe it will come someday, but I think XML in the the committee area of SDOs is still a ways off.
And I agree with that, Brian. That's been one of the hesitancies for us moving forward. And the other thing with the XML, the data integrity is so critical. When we convert our standards to XML, we don't do this with every product line, we just do it with our standards. We require 3 levels of QA. Now, that may be overkill, but for my management's comfort level, that's what we are required to do. So we do a level of QA when the standard is converted to XML. We send it to a third-party vendor for a second set of eyes. We return that to DCL. They make those corrections. We receive the file, and we send it out to a third vendor for another set of eyes. And we're getting very good. DCL is doing a great job because we're seeing fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer things that need corrected. So if you put this in the hands of a volunteer group, I'm not sure how much QA you would have to do on those documents.
Great. Well, thank you, Becky and Brian. The next question has come in is, what has been your biggest challenge as you converted content to XML?
Oh, that is a great question. I think, one of the biggest challenges that we faced, we had the management support. They were the drivers of this initiative, and they more or less let us figure out how to do it and the best way to do it. So we move forward with converting all of this. We have such a rich and robust repository of content. We started the conversion process, and nobody used it. Getting people to recognize what they had to use now was our biggest challenge. And for 5 years we sat here and thought, why are we doing all this conversion work? We're not seeing anything happen with it until this year. And we now do the red lines. We do the 3D, 2D part standards. We can do the full text search. We can do derivative works. You know, it's getting people within my own organization to recognize the value of that content. That, I think, was our biggest challenge. Getting a new team up and running, you know, you can do that for any business, but I think without that recognition of the power of that XML and what could happen, until that reached our staff levels, we were wondering why we were even doing it. So we had management support, and we knew what we could do, we knew how to do it, but getting people to recognize that was really a great tool for them to use to create product. Once we got there, we're good to go now.
Great, thank you, Becky. The next question is, what are you looking for as for next steps?
Oh, for next steps, what we are doing is we are transforming ourselves a little bit. We were strictly considered a production area for SAE, and we will continue to be that for the organization. But we're looking for ways that we can add more value. So we've taken on recently the book production, we've taken on professional development course material production. So we're looking for those next steps that will enable us to provide greater value to the organization through our content. So we're looking for new ways to deliver content. We're looking for new ways to put product together. So it's all resulting from the XML and from the effort that we put into getting customers on board with this. You know, there's opportunities to take you know, look outside for content. There's many ways that we can do things with content that will help us continue to create those new solutions and help us to remain relevant.
Great, thank you, Becky. The next question has come in is, it's really interesting that you've adopted 3 levels of XML QA. Does this include the consistency of what markup has been applied during the conversion and not just its compliance to the JATS DTD? If so,
the compliance to the JATS DTD, that's really handled through our conversion specifications. What we're making sure through our various levels of QA is that perhaps there's a special symbol. Did that convert correctly? The math, did that convert correctly? We're looking at tables. So it's somewhat content related versus the formatting or the JATS or the schema involved. It's more about the content than the schema.
Great. Thank you, Becky. The last question that has come in at this time is, how extensive are your QA processes? We actually have several levels of QA. As I explained, for our standards, we do the 3 levels of QA. And for books, we do a complete review of the EPUB. We offer our ebooks in PDF, EPUB, and the PRC, the Kindle file. So we do a complete review of the EPUB to ensure that there are no errors, spelling, not so much grammar, but you know, missing characters or anything like that. And that's almost a word-for-word read on that. For papers, we do a very light QA. We only look at things such as headers, our list properly formatted, our appendices properly formatted. So we don't do a lot of QA on our technical papers because we ask our authors to make sure that they have a fully proofed manuscript when they submit it to us. For magazine articles, we publish them as they're provided. We do no QA on those at all, and then our standards have the 3 levels of QA. So based on the product line, we have a very specific
quality review that we go through. And for our technical papers, because we do just a light QA, after each of our major events, we pull between 10 and 20% of the papers, and we do a thorough QA of the layout to ensure that we're within our specifications. In most cases, when an author is submitting a paper, we're not permitted, and as well as with standards, we're not permitted to make any changes to those papers before we publish. So that's why we're not quite as critical there. We look more for formatting and layout for our technical papers.
Great. Well, thank you, Becky. And thank you, everybody, for attending today's webinar. This will conclude today's broadcast. You will be able to access the recorded version of today's webinar in the archive section of our website located at www.dclab.com. Also, our next webinar will be this Tuesday, July 26th at 1 p.m. Next Tuesday, July 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, titled, "Did I Say That Already? Content Reuse and How You Can Be Smarter About Finding It," presented by Mike Rose, CTO and Director of Research at DCL. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Adam. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today.